Hello and welcome to the podcast. I'm your host, Nick, and I do apologise if I haven't done a podcast in a while. I've been very busy with footy lately and other stuff. But I am back now, ready to do a podcast, and of course, I will be doing some goal umpiring this week in the local AFL 100 Central Coast competition, so plenty to look forward to for me, but we'll get into that stuff on Friday's show, so let's now get into last weekend's AFL and NRL fixtures and start with the NRL first of all. And last Thursday night, Manly getting their first win for the year by beating the Dolphins 52-18 at KO Stadium. A week after Anthony Seibold got the sack, Kieran Foran came in and Manly put 52 points on the Dolphins. It's the third time a coach has coached their first game in Australian rugby league history, and a team has put 50 points on their opponent. So one bloke from Balmain did it. Andrew Farrow was coaching his first game for the Illawarra Steelers back in the day, and now Kieran Foran put 50 points on their coach team. Put 50 points on their opponent. Tries in that one was scored by Leo Alpawadi with a double. So, with a double in that one. And other tries there to Tom Trbojevic, Ruben Garrick, Luke Brooks, Hamole Olakalatu had a monster game in that one. Plus score a try. Tolatu Kola, Ben Trbojevic and Corey Waddell try scores for Manly. While Jamal Fogarty kicked 7 from 9 conversions and 1 from 2 penalty goals. Excuse me there. Okay. And tries of the Dolphins were scored by Hamiso, Tabuai Fado got a double, and Herbie Farnworth, but that was in the last 2 minutes of the game, which Manly dominated for 70 minutes of the game, but not the last 2 minutes. And Jermaine Osaka kicked 3 from 3. So, big response from Manly after the week after they sacked Anthony Seibold, coming out with a 52-18 win over the Dolphins. Now, I go votes in this one, which you saw on my feed on socials. So I gave votes. I gave 3 votes to. Okay. You guys, 3 votes I gave to Ben Trbojevic. I thought he was outstanding. 2 votes went to Herbie Farnworth. Thought he was the Dolphins' best player. And 1 went to Hamole Olakalatu, who had a monster game. That one. So, good victory for Manly there. Dolphins will play the bye this weekend before taking on the Panthers in Darwin in round 7. That will be a tough one for them. And Manly take on the Dragons this Friday night at Wynn Stadium. I'll get to the Dragons game in a minute. But Manly, they look pretty good there in that one. So let's go to the next one now. It's the Friday afternoon game. Good Friday, I think it was. Yep, Good Friday last Friday. Between the Rabbitohs and the Bulldogs. Massive win to the South Sydney Rabbitohs in this one. Of course, the tries was scored by Latrell Mitchell picking up a double and kicking 4 from 5 and 2 penalty goals. So that would make it. Just do a maths here. 8 times 60. 20 points all up in that game for Latrell Mitchell. And Alex Johnson scored a try. Tallis Duncan and Cam Murray also scored tries for the Rabbitohs. And for the Bulldogs, Marcelo Montoya, Lockie Galvin, Satili Tupanua, Connor Tracy were try scorers in that one. And Bulldogs got 3 from 4. Matt Burton had to do the last kick a goal with Stephen Cryan off the ground. Don't know why they didn't put Tristan Sherry on. I don't know why. No. Oh, sorry. Ron Sherry, Nick. Bronson Sherry. Didn't know why they didn't bring him on. So I just think the Sherry in the AFL, Tristan, who plays North Melbourne. So Bulldogs did lead half time. Rabbitohs had a really good second half and really ran away with the game in the end. winning 32-24. And I gave votes in that one, in that game. I gave 3 to Dallas Duncan. I think won't be called him Dallas Duncan because he does not want to mention the first name. Gordon Tallis. That's who Dallas Duncan's named after. Latrell Mitchell I gave 2 votes to, and 1 vote to Inari Tuiala. So, I don't know why Camus around and play Bronson Cherry, for instance. Okay. After this one, let's go now. Okay, let's move on now to Panthers and the Storm. Now, this game was last run. The first time since 2003, Melbourne Storm have conceded 50 in a match. Unbelievable, I say it was. Of course, Penrith. 9 tries to 2 in that one. And tries were scored by Thomas Jenkins, got another double. He's having a big season, he is. And also tries were also scored by Liam Martin, Freddie Lussick, Nathan Cleary, Casey McLean, Brian Toto, and Luke Garner and Dylan Edwards were the try scorers for the Panthers. Nathan Cleary converted 6 goals because they took him off when the match was sewn up there towards the end. And Paul Anamotti got the other goal for the Panthers. So, Nathan Cleary, that would be 16 points he scored in that game. So, that's pretty impressive. And 40, and the Storm try scorers were scored by Minari Watuira and Sui Farlongo. And Nick Meaney kicked 1 from 2. So, the first time since 2003, Melbourne Storm conceded 50 in a match. Unbelievable, I say. And votes from that game, I gave 3 to Nathan Cleary, 2 to Dylan Edwards, and 1 to Thomas Jenkins. So, I'll show the leaderboard after I go through all the games of the my player of the year votes for New South Wales Cup, Queensland Cup, and the NRL. So, I'll put it up. Okay. Because I forgot to do the doggies in the Rabbitohs this week. Rabbitohs have to go to Perth to take on the Canberra Raiders. That will be pretty interesting, that one. And Bulldogs take on the mind of the Penrith Panthers on Thursday night footy at Accor Stadium. And Melbourne Storm this week had the Warriors. They'll be back in Melbourne, it will be. And of course, Melbourne Storm, how are they going to respond after conceding 50 for the first time since 2003? That will be a big question for them heading into this round. So, let's move on to the next one now. And it was at Concrete Oval, this one, between the Dragons and the Cowboys. Cowboys winning, running away with 32-0. And Dragons at half-time, fans at half-time, full-time, booed the team off. And I thought, well, this club's in a bit of crisis at the moment, I reckon. Yeah, they're in some trouble, I reckon, the Dragons. So, and of course, the fans weren't happy about their performance. I was pretty disappointed with the Dragons' performance as well. But anyhow, let's go to the try scores of the Cowboys. Jackson Purdue got a double. Scott Drinkwater, Brian Burns, Murray Tuilagi, and Jake Clifford each got tries. Jake Clifford kicking 4 from 6. So basically, there was an average of 16 points conceded a half for the Dragons. So good win for the Cowboys there. And my votes in that game. From that game, I gave 3 to Jake Clifford, 2 to Jackson Purdue, and 1 to Tommy Dearden. Now, I've gone Clifford over Purdue because basically I think Clifford did play a good game, I thought. Scoring 12 points in that one. 12 points in that one and played a pretty good game. Played a pretty good game and sorry, spare me there, guys. And had 2 tries in that one. Jay Clifford for Purdue played all right as well, but I gave 3 to Jay Clifford, 2 to Jackson Purdue, and 1 to Tommy Dearden. Okay, next one. This was the M1 derby. up at Seabus Super Stadium between the Titans and the Broncos. Of course, this one, Reece Walsh unfortunately went off with a cheekbone injury, and they lost Adam Reynolds as well to an injury again. But the Broncos, they really show their class, of course, in a gritty 26-12 win in that one, with tries to the Broncos from Reece Walsh, Xavier Willison, Gimich Shibasaki, Jesse Harpers, and Ezra Mann. While for the Titans, and their goals were scored by Adam Reynolds, Katoni Staggs, and Reece Walsh net a penalty goal. And for the Titans, Jojo Fafita with a double, Jane Campbell kicking both of those conversions. This one, pretty good victory to the Brisbane Broncos, especially with all those injuries they had in that game. My votes for this one go 3 to Jojo Fafita with a double for the Titans, 2 votes for Penny Carrigan, and 1 vote to Ezra Mann, if we'll play well. I was keeping an eye on that game, and I was watching the Swans game on Saturday night, live and loud. So, good win the Brisbane Broncos in the end, 3 in a row for them. Next week this weekend I think they've got another derby, 3rd derby in a row for the Broncos. This time against the Cowboys. So 3 in a row, 3 derbies in a row for the Broncos. While the Titans this week take on the Parramatta Eels. So that will be an interesting game, that one. And I do apologise again. I did miss but I just already read out the Cowboys will play the Broncos this week at Suncorp Stadium, and the Dragons will play Manly at Wynn Stadium. So I do apologise I missed that there. Okay, now let's go on now to the next one. This was the Sunday games. Match between the Cronulla Sharks and the New Zealand Warriors at Shark Park. Sharks, good victory for them. Of course, same 3D record to 3-2. Warriors lost the last 2. Of course, after starting the season so well, unfortunately they've fallen apart the last few weeks. Try scorers for the Sharks. William Kennedy with a double. Kale Ero, Billy Burns, Teague Wilton, and Sifa Talakai with the tries for the Sharks. Wandeko Hines kicked from 6 from 6. Well, for the Warriors, hat-trick to Dallin Watini-Zelezniak. And the other try scored Marion Clark. Tanner Boyd kicking 2 from 4. Conversions and kicked a penalty goal as well. A little bit disappointed for the Warriors this week. For the Sharks played great, I reckon. Now I'll reveal the votes in that one. Nico Hines, 3 votes. Dallin Watini-Zelezniak, 2 votes. And William Kennedy, 1 vote. In that one. Sharks this weekend head to Perth to take on the Sydney Roosters. So that will be an interesting game. So not in Sydney this week as the Sharks take a home game to Perth. So that's going to be quite interesting there, I reckon. Yeah, because Sydney fans are going to miss out on seeing that game this week. And while the New Zealand Warriors, they'll get to play the Melbourne Storm. So that's going to be an interesting game, that one, with Melbourne Storm and they're going back up after conceding 50. Okay, let's move on to the next one now. Let's go to the other Sunday game, which was between the Newcastle Knights and the Canberra Raiders and the Knights. Wow, what a turnaround it's been. The Winter Spoon last year, they started for season 4-1. And the Knights, try scorers in that one for the Knights. Greg Marju got a double. And also Dominic Dom-Young as well. Fletcher Sharp and Phoenix Crosland, the other try scorers. Sandon Smith getting 4 from 6. And they've really turned a corner this year, especially the injuries they've had to they're winning out Callum Ponga and Dylan Brown. And for the Raiders, disappointing for them again. Their try score was Sidney Sasaki and Ethan Strange. Ethan Sands kicked 2 from 2. So a bit disappointing with the Canberra Raiders. Just got to save that game. And I gave votes to that one to 3 to Dane Gagai, 2 to Noah Martin, and 1 to Ethan Strange. So they'll debate that one. Newcastle this week take on The Knights will take on the West Tigers. That will be beauty at Campbelltown on Sunday. And the Canberra Raiders will get a Perth take on the South Sydney Rabbitohs. So that's the match just in those two teams this week. Now let's have a look at the last game of the round. What a game it was yesterday. Went to Golden Point between the Parramatta Eels and the West Tigers. West Tigers end up winning 20-20 thanks to a penalty goal from Jock Madden in Golden Point from an offside penalty against Parramatta. Because the Tigers tries yesterday, scored 3 tries. They only scored 3 tries yesterday, but still won the game thanks to 2 penalty goals in the end. Tries for the Tigers were scored by Adam Dewey, Jareen Buller, and Falatino Tavana. Jock Manning kicked 3 from 4 conversions and kicked 2 from 2 penalty goals. And for the Parramatta Eels, Bailey Simonson unfortunately got an injury in that game, but did score a try in that one. And Alfred Twiddle, who came on the field for him, scored a double, including a great try in the corner there earlier on. Junior Barlaw got the other try there as well. And Mitchell Moses only kicked 1 from 4. Pretty disappointing goal kicking was from him, but did kick a penalty goal as well. What a game of footy it was. It was too, with the Tigers getting out of the line. And the votes, I gave votes in this one to 3 to Kai Pearce-Paul, played a great game yesterday. 2 votes to Alex Twal, and 1 vote to Terrell May. I'll go through the votes in a minute. Okay. So definitely, and this week, the Parramatta Eels taking the Gold Coast Titans Sunday, and West Tigers back at Campbelltown Stadium taking the Newcastle Knights this Sunday as well at Campbelltown. Okay, so that's all the votes. That's all the games I've gone through here. Now let's have a look at the leaderboards. Now we'll start with Queensland. We'll start with the Queensland Cup now. So we'll start with Queensland. So I'm just going to put a picture so you can see what's going on here. So we'll start in Queensland Cup here. Great victory was. So Queensland Cup, who's leading the player of the year after 4 rounds? Of course, they didn't play this week. Sam Elliott of Redcliffe on 8 points. Josh Patson of Ipswich, which is an affiliate of the Titans, on 6. Mason Teague off Burley on 6 points. 6 votes. Liam Sutton of Mackay Cutters on 6. Sam Costa of the Burley Bears on 5. One behind his teammate Mason Teague. Callum Egling of South Logan Magpies on 5. Zachariah Miles of the Brisbane Tigers on 5. Matt Parcell of Western Clydesdale 5. Rory Ferguson on South Logan Magpies also on 5. So five-way tie for 5th place. And equal 10th, we've got Antonio Verhoeven of Wynnum, Clay Webber of the Brisbane Tigers, Tony Francis of Ipswich Jets, and Tom Duffy of the South Logan Magpies, all on 4 points. So that's what we see on in the Q Cup. So we see in the Q Cup. Now let's move on to the New South Wales Cup now. I'll bring that up in a minute. I'll bring out the leaderboard in a minute for the New South Wales Cup. Just bear with me. Let's put a picture in picture now. Okay. Let's get up. Okay, here we go. So you can see here the leaderboard there. Jet Cleary of the Warriors in first place on 8 points. Of course, brother Nathan Cleary, of course. Angus Henchy, one behind from the Storm on 7 points. In second place, and in equal third, we've got Elijah Salasu Moana of Newcastle on 6, equal with Jacob Halanganu of the Dragons in 6 with 6 points as well, 6 votes as well. In fifth place, we've got equal 5th place. We've got 3 players there. Francis Manuela on 5 points, 5 votes. Albert Tweedle of Parramatta, and Tim Johansson of South Sydney, and Javon Andrews of the Western Suburbs Magpies, all on 5 points, so four-way tie there for fifth. And New South Wales Cup, we've got a five-way tie there for ninth spot there in the leaderboard between Roosters, Hayden Barton, Luke Cesari of Melbourne of the Storm, Joe Walsh of Manly on 4 points as well, Jesse McLean of Penrith 4 points, and Matthew Duffy on 4 votes. So that's where we stand for the New South Wales Cup leaderboard. Now let's go to the NRL now. Let's go to the NRL. Let's go to the first grade one, man, the NRL. So let's have a look here. Just bear with me and I'll share it. Okay, here we go. Now it is the NRL leaderboard. So first place, equal first place, Tom Jenkins and Nico Hines tied on 9 points, 9 votes there. Tanner Boyd sits in. Tanner Boyd and David Cleary equal third on 8 votes. Latrell Mitchell fifth spot on 7 votes. Alex Twal 6th place on 6 votes. Freeway, don't know how many players on there. 7 players on 5 votes. Joe Chandler the Storm, Jackson Ford the Warriors, and Dewey the West Tigers, Heavy Farnworth for the Dolphins, Dylan Edwards of the Panthers, Jay Clifford of the Cowboys, and Noah Martin of the Raiders, all on 5 votes. So that's where we see it in the point scoring. In the player of the year votes. Now let's have a look at the try scorers in the we'll have a look at the try scorers in the top point scorers in a minute. Let's go for the point scorers first. As I'll bring up on the screen now. So bear with me. Okay, there we go. So see here, Nathan Cleary, first place with 68 points of the season. Latrell Mitchell of the Rabbitohs on 54 points of the season. Tanner Boyd, 54 as well, equals second. 4th place, Jermaine Asako, 52. He's on the way to the Storm next year. Nico Hines and Thomas Jenkins on 48 points. Jamal Fogarty, Jay Clifford on 42. Silverfire Longo, 32. And also Dom Young. So that's the top 10 there for leading point scorers this year. Now let's go to the try scorers. Leading try scorers, Thomas Jenkins with 12 tries this year. Pretty impressive. And equals second, 4 behind there and equals second, Dominic Young and Silverfire Longo. And equal 4th, Will Warbrick and Maui Talangi. And there's a lot of players with 5 tries here. We'll go through them now. Greg Marzu, Tom Trbojevic, Alex Johnston, Dallin Watini, Zelezniak, Latrell Mitchell, Jacob Ruello, Katoni Staggs, and Amiso W.A. Fado. So, a lot of players there on 5 tries for the season. So, that's all that's the players all on 5, the top try scores this season. So now, let's finish up there. I'll just take a quick drink quickly. Let's all move now to the AFL now. Of course, last Saturday night, Collingwood were missing Nick Dacos, and unfortunately they got pumped by the Brisbane Lions by 54 points in that one. Okay, just have a look at the match report from that game, of course. Match report here, of course, goals are scored by Brisbane Lions. Goals are scored by 4 goals to Kai Lohman, 3 to Logan Morris, 3 to Oscar Allen, 2 to Lincoln McCarthy, 2 as well to Zach Bailey and Dane Zorko, Bruce Revell and Will Ashcroft had the goals for the Brisbane Lions. Collingwood, the only mobile goal kicker for them was Dan McStone, 4 goals. And the other goal kickers were Lockie Sullivan, Jack Steele, Lockie Schultz, Tim Membry, and Jamie Elliott and John De Go. So disappointed the Pies, and named the best was Will Ashcroft, Logan Morris, Kadeen Coleman, Zach Bailey, Lockie Neal, and Jasper Fletcher, the Brisbane Lions. And the best for the Pies, Josh Dacos, Dan McStay, Brayden Maynard and Dan Houston. And the votes in this game, okay, the votes in this one I gave 3 to Zach Bailey, 2 to Will Ashcroft, and 1 to Dane Zorko. I'll get to the leaderboard towards the end. Next game around this week, Brisbane Lions take on North Melbourne. They'll be in the Barossa Valley. And while Collingwood take on Fremantle on Friday night at Adelaide Oval. So that's going to be an interesting game to see where these two teams are at towards the season. Okay, that's that game done. Now let's move on now to the next one. This is the Good Friday game. Unfortunately, no second half capitulation from Carlton, which sees North Melbourne get out of the line with 10 points. They're going to 3-1 to start the year. So, pretty good start to North Melbourne. As pretty good game from the Kangaroos there. Big sick. They unfortunately Carlton did crumble in the second half again to go down to 10 points. Great day for North Melbourne though. The goals for North Melbourne, 3 each to Zane Dersmer and Cooper Trembath, 2 to Nick Larkey and Paul Curtis, and Jack Darling, Cam Zerha, Harry Sheasel and Jake Simpkin all with 1. And for Carlton, 3 goals to Brady Kemp, 2 to Mark Pinnett, Harry Mackay and Mitch McGovern, 1 each to Nick Newman, Sam Walsh, Elijah Hollands and Jagger Smith. Named the best of North Melbourne, Luke Davies-Uniacke, Colby McKercher, Zane Dersmer, Nick Larkey and Kipper Trembath. And the best for Carlton, Elijah Hollands, Mark Pinnett, Brody Kemp, Harry Mackay and George Hewitt, and Jacob Wiedering suffered a concussion in that one, so he'll miss this. So he'll have to miss this week's game against Adelaide for the Blues. And I gave votes to this one: 3 to Caleb Daniel, 2 to Luke Davies-Uniacke, and 1 to Cooper Trembath. So North Melbourne, like I said in the last game, do have to play Brisbane Lions. That is going to be where they're going to be at. That's going to be the biggest test of the year because they're going to see where they're at. While Carlton at Adelaide Crows Thursday night, let's see how they're going to go. Try and bounce back in that game. It's going to be hard to tell where Carlton are at this season. Okay, let's go now to the next one which was the other Friday game, which was a good game in the end. Freo just getting out of the line by 2 points. Pretty good game of footy. And of course, let's go through the match. The Crows, Freo going to 3-1 to start the year with Adelaide. Unfortunately, 1-3 after winning the Lion Premiership last year. And of course, let's go through the goal scorers in that one. For the Dockers, 4 goals to Jai Amos, probably the premier key forward of the competition. 2 to Josh Tracy, 2 to Patrick Voss, and 1 goal each to Shea Bolton, Andrew Brayshaw and Isaiah Dudley. And for the Crows, 2 goals to Jordan Dawson and 1 goal each to Sam Berry, Brayden Cook, Finbar Malley, Alex Neilbullen, James Beatling, Josh Rochelli, Zach Taylor, Riley Tilthorpe and Taylor Walker. And for the injuries there, Luke Pedlow with a jaw injury. And the crowd, 48,627 at the Adelaide Oval. Pretty decent crowd there. And I go 3 votes to James Peatling, 2 to Andy Brayshaw, 1 to Riley Tilthorpe. So no other votes that one. Adelaide this week, like I said in the last game, do play Carlton this week, Thursday night. And I also said a couple of games earlier, Fremantle take on Collingwood at the Adelaide Oval Friday night. Let's get some decent footy there. Let's go to the next round here. Next game there. Now this game was pretty disappointing. Richmond and Adelaide, and Port Adelaide, of course, these two I reckon were probably towards the bottom four of the ladder. Richmond winless, and Port Adelaide just the 2 wins this year. So really hard to tell these two teams where they're going to be at this year. Just Port Adelaide, fortunately. Richmond very disappointing again. Now let's have a look at the goal kickers here. For Port Adelaide, 2 goals each to Mitch Georgiades, Jack Whitlock, Jason Norman Francis, Jack Lukosius with 2 each, Jacob Ware, Joe Richards, Corey Durden, Jordan Sweden, William Drew with the goal kickers in the 42-point victory there. So Richmond another 40-plus defeat for them. Well, Richmond's goal kickers, Liam Fawcett, Sam Lawler with 2 goals each. Morris Riello took a very good hanger in that one. Also did kick a goal. And Sam Banks kicked a goal as well for the Tigers. And in the best, Alira Lear, Zach Butters, Jason Norton-Francis, Kane Farrell, Jace Burgoyne, and Darcy Byrne-Jones are in the best. And for the Tigers, Dion Prestia, Tyler Sonsi, Tim Torano, Ben Miller, Morris Rioli, and Jacob Hopper in the best for the Tigers. Crowd, pretty disappointing, the MCG, 54,471. Well, Richmond are playing in the state team, so yeah, that's a pretty disappointing crowd there for the Tigers. And the votes in that one, I go 3 to Jordan Sweet, 2 to Jaden Short, 4 was pretty outstanding to the Tigers. Okay, the Tigers, and 1 to Kane Farrell. So, Richmond next week do have to take on the GWS Giants, who only have 1 win of the year, but I reckon they're going to be pretty firing after the bye. While Port Adelaide take on St Kilda, also come for bye as well. So, that's going to be interesting to see how that game fares. But we'll move on now to the next one. There'll be now big win here to the Sydney Swans over West Coast. They won by 128 points with 13 individual goal kickers in this one. West Coast, I expect them to be better. Unfortunately, very disappointing again for the Eagles. Score same old for them. Fortunately, they're going to be towards the 1-4 again this year. Not sure they're going to win the spoon though, but interesting to see how they. And there's that they get a reality check. Tom Papley played his 200th game. Played a pretty decent game as well. And Brady Grundy was just outstanding to wrap for the Swans. Unfortunately, the Eagles couldn't find a way to respond to him. So we'll have a look at the goal kickers here. 13 individual goal kickers, as I mentioned earlier. For the Charlie Curnow and for the Heaney. Pretty impressive there. Heaney played an outstanding game in the win there. Jake Lloyd kicked free. That was pretty interesting. Jakey Lloyd kicking free, usually a defender. And he decided to go forward and kick 3 goals. John Lamarty, Tom Papley, Chad Warner, all with 2. And Nick Blakey, Harry Cunningham, I'm surprised he got a goal. Brady Grundy, James Jordan, Justin McInerney, Jai Saron also kicked a goal as well. Jeez, kicking goals for everyone. And also Sam Wicks, who's usually a defender as well. Jeez, they're kicking goals to defenders. And 2 goals to William Dersma, Liam Baker, and Jake Waterman for the Eagles. In the massive 128-point defeat. And the best of the Swans, I reckon they're pretty much all the whole 23 should have got the best, I reckon. But they only chose 8 players. So the best was Isaac Keane, he played an outstanding game. Brady Grundy, Chad Warner, Tom Papley, Jai Saron, Charlie Curnow, James Jordan, Sam Wicks in the best. Well, for the Eagles, William Zersma, excuse me, Tom McCarthy, Joe Johan, and Jack Graham were in the votes. Unfortunately, Swans did lose Malcolm Roses to an injury before the game. Harry Cunningham came in to the side and actually kicked the goal, but surprising. Defenders kicking goals for Swans, and this game for the votes was hard to tell. I gave 3 to Isaac Keane, played an outstanding game. 2 went to Tom Papley, and 1 went to Brady Grundy. So it was pretty hard to choose the votes for this one. Okay. And the Eagles take on Geelong down at Norwood Oval, and the Swans also at Norwood Oval as well on Saturday, but go around against the Gold Coast Suns. That'll be an interesting game. Potential top of the table clash. Don't know what to do at Norwood Oval though. In my opinion, that match should be at the Adelaide Oval. Okay, now let's go to the next one now. Next game. Just saw my voice there, so I do apologise there. Next one. Sunday games now. Now, this was a pretty good game. Melbourne defeating the Gold Coast Suns in a pretty decent encounter there at attacking footy by 20 points. Melbourne. Excuse me, I think I need water again, so I do apologise there. I'll get some water. It's better. Do apologise for sharing my screen there. Just realised I was sharing my screen. Okay, here we go. So, this one, Melbourne played a very good game. Maxi Gordon was outstanding in the ruck again for Melbourne. And of course, Cosy Pickett, the Pickett Cousins were outstanding as well. in this one. Jack Steele, of course. I don't know why St Kilda letting go. He's absolutely killing it in Melbourne. I just don't know why I let him go. So we see here now. Let's look at the goals here. Jake Milcham kicked 4 goals, and he's over 30. He's still kicking goals. Footy. Harvey Langford and Brody Myercheck with 2 each. While Max Gawn, Xavier Lindsay, Cozzy Pickett, Latrell Pickett, Christian Salem, Harry Sharp, Colin Fulstrop, and Jacob Van Rooyen kicked the goal in the victory for Melbourne. And for the Suns, Ben King, Ethan Reid with 3 goals, Zeke Newland, Jed Walter with 2, Will Graham, Lockie Goulburn, Joel Jeffrey, and Will Powell kicked the goal in that one. And the best, and then named the best, Max Gawn, Cozzy Pickett, Jack Steele, Christian Salem, Tom Sparrow, Jake Milcham, Harry Sharp were named the best for Melbourne. For the Suns, Zeke Yullen, Noah Anderson, Lockie Goulburn, Will Graham, Bodie Yulland, and Johnny Noble in the best of the Suns. Only 24,000 at the G, but they're going to come, I reckon, to people if Melbourne continue playing this great attacking footy they're showing this season. And the both side gave 3 to Jack Steele, played a great game, 2 to Cozzy Pickett, and 1 to Maxie Gawn. So, interesting to see there where the leaderboard's going to be at the end of this round, and when I showed it towards the end. And of course, Nick Dacos, who was leading by 3 points, but will he still be leading? Will he still be leading our rights despite missing? Okay, let's go now to the other game on Saturday Night Footy. It was between the Western Bulldogs and Essendon. Essendon have been disappointed this season, but Foot played alright, not to get smashed. They only lost by 34 points, which was pretty good. It didn't margin really blow out like most people expected. Of course, the Bulldogs were pretty disappointed. Luke Berries were pretty disappointed there. And I just realised I forgot to tell you who the next ones for Melbourne and Essendon are. Melbourne and Gold Coast are. Melbourne will take on Essendon on Saturday afternoon at the Adelaide Oval, and Gold Coast had to go to Norwood Oval to take on Sydney. Okay, now let's go down to Western Bulldogs Essendon, of course. Pretty disappointing there. The Bulldogs did get the win, but the Dolphins did play alright. I know there's only 34 points, which is okay for them. So let's go now for the goal kickers now. Goals are scored by Arthur, Artie Jones, Aaron Norton, Sam Darcy all kick 3, and 1 goal each to Marcus Bontempelli, Lockie Bramble, Barley Williams, Matt Kennedy, and Luke Dolan. And for the Bombers, 3 goals to Jake Gresham, 2 each to Benny Edwards and Archie May, 1 each to Peter Wright and Jai Caldwell. Fortunately, there was some injuries in that game for them. And named the best, Marcus Bontempelli, Rory Lobb, Riley Sanders, Matt Kennedy, Lockie Bramble and Aaron Norton. And for the Bombers, named the best, Archie Roberts, Jackson Pryor, Benny Edwards, Sam Durham and Archie May. And Dogs did have some injuries there. Of course, Ed Richards was ruled out an injury, replaced in the selective side by Lockie McNeil. Tim English did an injury. He'll miss a footy, so they've got some important games got the Dogs. They do have. So they're going to pretty much miss him. And Arthur Jones also suffered an hamstring injury there. So, and they'll play Hawthorn next Saturday night, which will be a beauty, I reckon. So they're probably going to miss Tim English more than Arthur Jones, because I think they've got some depth towards in the forward line there. And 38,000 did appear at 38,786 Peter Marvel Stadium in that one. So the Bulldogs take on Hawthorn, as I just mentioned. Next Saturday, and Essendon take on Melbourne next Saturday afternoon at the Adelaide Oval. So interested to see how that one will go. Okay, now the last game around there, which was at the MCG what a game of footy yesterday. These two teams also put on a banger. These two teams when they play each other. Hawthorn win by a point. What a game it was. So, one stage looked like Hawthorn win, another stage looked like Geelong win, another stage looked like being a draw. So, anyone's game it was. But Hawthorn getting over the line by a point to go 3-1 to start the year, while Geelong unfortunately got it 2-2 to start the season. They always have to be losing that one. So the goals yesterday, 3 goals to Jack Johnson and Nick Watson for Hawthorn, 2 each to Mario Chal, Jack Ginnivan, Mitchell Lewis, and 1 goal to Josh Weddle. And for Geelong, 4 goals to Shannon Neal, 3 to Ollie Henry, 2 to Jack Bowes, and 1 each to Jack Martin, Ollie Wiltshire, Jack Dempsey, Jeremy Cameron, Mark Blixart. Jeremy Cameron's been a bit disappointed this year because not kicking as much goals as he would like. So, I don't know what's going on there with Geelong there was Jeremy Cameron. Of course, Shannon Neal's taken over the key forward role for Geelong now. Well, none the best, Josh Ford for the Hawks. For the Hawks, Josh Ford, Jarman MP, Jordan Sicily, Jack Ginnivan, Tom Barras, Jack Gunson, Nick Watson. And for Geelong, Bailey Smith, Maxie Holmes, Shannon Neal, Tom Stewart, Mark Blixart and Ollie Henry named the best for Geelong. And the crowd there yesterday, 84,712, biggest crowd this year for an AFL game this year, between those two Victorian powerhouses. And the votes, I go 3 to Bailey Smith, 2 to Max Holmes, 1 to Conor McDonald. Okay, now the time comes. Let's go now to the leaderboard after round 4 of the AFL for the Mr. Prez Talk Sports Player of the Year. I'll just bring up in a minute. Spare with me. Okay, here we go. On top, Nick Dacos, 9 points, 9 votes. Second place, Marcus Bontempelli, on 8 points, just one behind Nick Dacos. Third place, Bailey Smith, on 7 votes. Equal 4th place, 4 players. Christopher Straka, Carlos Aron, Zach Butters, and Max Gorn on 6. And equal 8 spot, 4 players. Dane Zorko, Jane Short, Jack Steele, and Josiah Pickett on 5 points, but I usually call him Collie Pickett. So definitely the most players in the top 11 there, I should say now, in the voting, are all from Melbourne. There's 3 from Melbourne in there. So Melbourne shows a good attacking footy this year. It's good to see their players getting in the votes. And of course, there we go. So let's have a look at the ladder from before we go to the before I sign off, let's have a look at the goal kicking tally this year. Have a look at the common medal race heading into round 4. After round 4, I'll just bring up on the screen in a minute. Spare me. So the common middle race there we go. Ben King still on top with 19 goals. Jack Gunston second on 16. Nick Larkin, Aaron Norton, Nickel third on 14. Josh Tracy, 12 goals. Joel Martin, 6 on 11 goals. Sam Darcy, Mitch Georgiades, Shannon Neal and Nick Watson on 10 goals. But Charlie Curnow, Kyle Lohman and Jack Waterman are lurking towards the top 10 they are. So that's going to be pretty interesting goal kicking year is going to be this year for the AFL, so definitely could be an interesting year this year for goal kicking. And the round counts, we don't usually do that because I've got my player of the year voting system. So I'll reveal this Friday where I'll be umpiring on Saturday afternoon when I do local footy in the AFL Central Coast. And go through all the matches in the NRL and AFL this weekend. Plus, I'll go through the AFL Central Coast, plus Central Coast Rugby League and Newcastle Rugby League games this weekend. Okay, that's all from me now. That's all I have time for. I'm Nick Merrill. Bye for now.